Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. Happy Friday. I hope you guys are doing well. Welcome to the weekend. We're going to be doing live readings on the channel this evening, as we are every Friday. This week we're going to be doing tarot. If you can see me, go ahead and leave me a comment in the message box in the chat, or you can give me a thumbs up. Make sure you like the stream. It lets other people know that we are live. What's going on, everybody? I know we got a couple people who are already waiting here. We've got a couple people in the queue. If this is your first time joining me, what's up? My name's Candace. I'm a Western astrologer. I also work with the art of tarot. We're here every other Friday. We alternate between tarot and astrology readings, and this time we're going to be doing tarot. If you want to get a reading to get in the queue, you want to scan this QR code. It's going to take you to my PayPal. You can make a donation of $20 for one card or $40 for a 3-card spread. And you can ask any question you want, any one question you want. So in the memo box, feel free to put your first name, your nickname. You can put your sun, moon, and rising, any details that pertain to your question. So I know how to be able to best kind of help you. What's going on, everybody? What's up, Gibson? Hey, Katie. Hey, Lisa. Hey, Sonia. Hey, Dorothy. How's everybody going? So here's who I have in the queue already. I've got S, Rachel, Dorothy, Vanessa, Coco, but we also have level 3 people too. So I don't know if you guys know, but I'm a full-time content creator. I create content on tarot and astrology. We do lots of long-form content for you guys, which is like high-quality content where I'm teaching and also talking about current events, teaching you guys astrology as we go. I'm here 4 days a week creating content for you guys, and I do have memberships. So if you want to support my work, you can join my memberships for a couple bucks a month. You can support the cause of everything that I'm doing. You can also get a shout out if you go to level 2, and then level 3, you're going to get a reading with me once a month. You can choose if you want tarot or astrology. So it's a cool way to be able to get a reoccurring reading. It's super affordable. And we take the level 3 people first. So if there's any level 3 people here right now that want to cash in, let me know. Granted, I'm going to tell you all, next week we've got eclipses coming in. So we may do that a little bit differently. Always the astrology readings are super long, but because we have eclipses coming in the next few weeks, I know some people may hold on to cash those in next week. So we will be doing lunar eclipse readings for you guys next week, and then we'll be getting ready to do the solar eclipse readings as we get closer to April. But there are videos out on that already, so if you're wondering how that's going to impact you, you can check that out. All right. Well, thanks, Gibson. What's up, B. Smith? Welcome. You're new here. All right, so we will start with S, and then we'll leave it open for a little bit. You guys can scan the QR code if you want to jump in there. We'll let you know when we're kind of closing things down. Yes, obviously I had to wear my green, right? We're coming into St. Patrick's Day pretty soon. So I'm going to start with S, and then we've got Rachel and Dorothy. You guys are on deck. S says, is there any hope for reconnecting with my ex? Or will there be a new person coming in? I am a Capricorn rising, Cancer sun, Aquarius moon. Well, let's take a look. Let's see what the cards say for you, S, in regards to whether or not a reconciliation is likely in the cards for you between you and your ex-partner. Ooh. That one's jumping out. That one wants to be seen. So that Ace of Coins was just like, pick me. So I had to pick that up. So Ace of Coins can talk about some physical connection, or like that there is something still tangible there, that you're like, I still feel something. It can be a timing card too that can talk about up to 1 year. This can also be the element of Earth. So as we're getting into the Earth months, Taurus season, Virgo season, Capricorn season. So this is the cards that came up in this order. Okay, pretty decent cards, to be honest with you. We're not seeing a bunch of like cups coming up, so this isn't a reading that's about, emotions and connection and like soulmate-y things. But nevertheless, that's okay. No worries. Here, I'll put this here so that we can see better. What I will tell you is that these cards do talk about working on matters. So it talks about being able to kind of work something out. So the first card that we get for you is the Six of Pentacles, followed by the Eight of Pentacles, followed by the Strength card. So the Six of Pentacles, this is about give and take, right? So in some cases, this can talk about, you know, finding time to be able to better balance things out. This can also be talking about still being there for each other, still supporting one another, still being open to some kind of an exchange. You know, the Six of Pentacles does talk about receiving assistance. So it can mean that there's outside forces that are kind of helping the two of you guys better balance some of the issues that you had in regards to your relationship, still being available for one another. And it's about a little bit of give and take. So it can be about like rebuilding that sense of security. It can also be about learning to like rebuild trust in regards to your guys' dynamic. The center card is the kind of where you are right now energy, and the Eight of Pentacles is about working hard on a situation, trying time and time again, like until you get it right, perfecting something. Like I almost wonder if it's a situation where, was there a lot of back and forth that you were doing before you guys ultimately split? Did you guys decide to kind of go your separate ways to work on yourselves? Have you guys actually been doing that work with the Six of Pentacles coming up? You know, I kind of feel like there's something here that tells me if you've been doing this work, the Eight of Pentacles can make it possible for you guys to be able to come together and, you know, really work on this union. Like I said, a lot of coins coming up seems to talk about timing, patience, persistence, and also the willingness to do the necessary work to kind of rebuild something. So it's like a very physical card. You got a lot of coins here. It can also basically say that there may be an aspect to the relationship dynamic where it's like maybe there was some kind of stress in the relationship because of a financial matter or a job matter or a health matter. These are all kind of like earthly related things. So I could see like the Six of Pentacles as being like, okay, let's get these things in order and see if we can still kind of come back to the drawing board and see if we're capable of being able to kind of still, you know, build this relationship together. Then the final card that I get is the Strength card. So what I love about this card is that this also can be a timing card. This is the card that comes up for when the sun is in the sign of Leo. So kind of later in July going into August, that's the time period for this card. But if you notice, the woman is standing around all of these lions. She's not afraid of them. She's not controlling them. They're not in a cage. They're not on a leash. They're not being, you know, basically like kept. With the Strength card, we see the woman opening her arms and kind of like embracing the beast, which is basically saying like, rather than feeling like you need to hold on to love, it's being like, I'm going to let this go. And I know that when the time is right or when it's the right circumstances, love will return, or you will come back, or I don't have to feel like I have to kind of hold on to you. Like you're going to do what you need to do. And then we're still going to find ways to kind of find each other. This can also be talking about not trying to kind of strong arm the situation and not feeling like there has to be a certain set of rules or timing revolving around how you guys actually navigate, you know, kind of coming back into relationship. Leo is connected with the Strength card. This is about passion and romance and self-love. So a lot of this can basically be saying that you're trying to remain open without any expectations. Just the end goal is like, okay, some way, somehow, we're going to find our way back to each other. I know that this is the case. And in the meantime, practicing a lot of love, practicing a lot of compassion, patience, right? And also like remaining open, because I think that this is about not trying to control or manifest a certain outcome. It's about being like, okay, I know that this is this person that still kind of has my heart. I'm going to continue to kind of treat the situation very gently and also with like kindness, even if we're not actually together right now, knowing that inevitably once we have kind of worked out some of these things, we can come together. I do think though that I see like with this progression of the 6 to an 8 and then we've got another 8, this can also be talking about like being in a situation where, you know, there is a need for both parties to kind of level up and do the necessary work or make the necessary changes happen to be able to kind of come together, right? So the less that you're trying to be like, it has to be within this time frame, or, you know, like I need to know what they're doing or who they're with or what's going on. The less that you're doing that and the more that you're self-focused, the easier this whole process is going to be. And I do feel like there is still there's a lot of opportunity here, because it does still seem like there is a really strong kind of physical pull, not just like in a romantic or like a sensual way. It's like there's a physical pull to being like, no, I think that there's still something here. Like you might feel like this person's got like, you're almost like in their, vibrational pull. You know what I'm saying? Like everything's going to kind of lead you back to them. And I would be really watching what's kind of happening, I would say, sometime over the next 8 weeks as we're getting closer to May. So that's going to be the Ace of Coins. And sometime between May and July or August, that's likely when we're going to start to see some of those shifts that are taking place. But remain open. Make it be about the love, not necessarily defining the actual dynamic between the two of you, because I think that's where things can get a little hairy, right? Anyway, I hope that that's helpful for you. What's up, Adriana? Hey, Angela. Hey, Chelsea. Hey, Wonder Woman. Hey, Lydia. Or Linda, excuse me. I should have my glasses on. Welcome. You're new here. If you guys are wanting to get a reading, you can scan the QR code. You can get in the queue. That was for S. We've got Rachel, Dorothy, and Vanessa. If any level 3 people pop in here, let me know. Rachel, are you here? Do you have a particular question for me? I see we've got a 3-card reading for you, but do you have a specific question for me? Thanks, Chelsea. I got that. I will reference that in just a second. Let's see. Chelsea, was it under a different name? Nope, I see you. Just kidding. Chelsea, I got Adriana, and it's a girl apparel. I don't know who that is, but you can ask me your question. All right, well, let's see if Rachel's here. If she's not here, I'll just pull 3 cards. In this order, we have got Queen of Swords, Queen of Swords, 4 of Pentacles, Wheel of Fortune. Looks like somebody's getting extremely vocal about what they want, what they're going after, what they need. So I've got Queen of Swords. So Queen of Swords can be talking about you in terms of your communication, how you're directing your energy, how you're, telling people what you think, what you want, what you need. Queens represent this energy of kind of like leveling up and coming to a sense of maturity and nurturing of that element. So that element of air is about information, socializing, communication, learning, writing, contracts. So when that coming up, it's basically saying you're feeling a little bit more confident in asserting asserting yourself and having your voice heard. There can be other people who can pop in right now, like Libras and also Aquariuses and Geminis. These people can kind of come in and provide you with some kind of help or some kind of assistance. It can also be people who are helping you get the point across or making the connections or, being able to be in a situation where they're kind of guiding you or they're teaching you in some way. For the right now card, we have the 4 of Pentacles. And so this talks about holding on to something or reassessing something, deciding if you want to, let something go, or if you want to invest in something, or if you're willing to lighten up a little bit. I really feel like this is about you really reevaluating your beliefs right now, really reevaluating also maybe a financial situation. Because the 4 of Pentacles does represent where if we hold on to something too tightly, money, relationships, our ideals, there can be a sense of us blocking something from coming in. If we're so kind of rigid and fixed-minded in a situation, we're not allowing things to flow. So when I see the 4 of Pentacles, there can be this sense of being like, okay, am I lack mindset? Am I kind of thinking about things like I'm not bringing in enough, or I'm not capable of getting enough, or I'm not worthy enough? And so really it seems like something is being worked out in terms of your relationship with resources, or it could potentially be you and, the way that you look at, your career, or it could be the way that you look at your financial situation, right? You're learning to become more open-minded and not feel like you're falling into these patterns of, having like lack mindset. This can also say that you're kind of going back and forth and making a decision about whether or not you're going to take a leap of faith, or whether or not you're going to make an investment, or you're going to make a big move. I say that because the final card is the Wheel of Fortune. So it almost makes me feel like there may be some intuitive messages coming up for you right now, where like in the back of your mind, your higher self is like, yes, Rachel, do this thing. And you're like, oh, I can't do that. That's scary. Like, I can't quit my job and, start a business, or I can't, invest in this, particular kind of stock, or, I can't do this thing. And you're going to kind of like clam up a little bit, because the four of Pentacles is like holding on to the way that things are now and not wanting to make a change. But the Wheel of Fortune is basically saying like fortune is in your favor, like the winds of change are blowing, and it's bringing you an opportunity to travel, learn, expand, have some kind of abundance that's going to flow in that can help you. And it seems like a matter of bringing this in is like a shift in your mindset, in how you're talking to yourself, how you're thinking about things. You guys, I just got done doing the astro weather for the next week. It is crazy the amount of aspects that are taking place this week. Probably my favorite aspect is that we're going to see exalted Venus in Pisces start coming into a conjunction with Saturn, where our dream relationships, our dream financial situations are starting to crystallize. And as they do that, they're sextiling Jupiter. So we see some mutual reception between Venus and Jupiter. So if you dream it, right, or if you see it, if you can envision it, it can be. So we are in like prime manifestation windows right now. We're not going to see some of these blessings start to kind of reveal themselves until we get closer to about April, end of April going into May. But we will see them. We're going to see May and June are going to be huge periods where all of our gardens are going to start to grow. We just can't see them yet. Anyway. So for you, I think this is about remaining open and being like, yes, I can make this shift. I can let these new things in, and really being mindful of what you're thinking about and what you're manifesting. We want to, with Mercury and Aries, be, talking about things in the I am, right? I am doing this. Even if you haven't started it yet, you're manifesting in a sense of I am, right? Or I am receiving abundance. Maybe you haven't gotten that check yet, but you are receiving it as far as your mind is concerned. So a lot of this is shifting the way that you look at things right now, and it's pushing you out of your comfort zone. So the Wheel of Fortune says, take a chance. Hopefully that was helpful for you, Rachel. We've got Dorothy, followed by Vanessa and Kara. What's up, Ivy? All right, cool. I got you. So let's see what questions Dorothy has for me. Dorothy says, what does the tarot say about where to look to find a new relationship? Saturn is making everything slow. Yes, it is. Slow and invisible. All right, let's start to see what these cards have to say for you, Dorothy. In this order. Thanks, Kara. I got you. Ooh, girl. It kind of makes me wonder, like, is there like a little bit of like fear or like trepidation and like getting back into dating? Like, what's going on here? So you've got the Seven of Swords, the Nine of Pentacles, and the Devil. Okay. So I'm kind of like wondering, what's the deal? Seven of Swords is, is it trust? Is it like, am I looking in the right places? Can I trust the people that I'm meeting? There can be some sense of doubt or questioning, whether or not you're ready, or whether or not the people that you're meeting are actually who they say they are. You know what I'm saying? The Nine of Pentacles also talks a lot about being like a self-made lady. So this can be about feeling confident in how you're carrying yourself, you know, not making it be about, oh, I feel complete when I have another person. Nine of Pentacles is like, I give myself everything that I need. I fill my own cup. If a relationship comes in, it's the icing on the cake of an already fulfilled life. So it's about not putting yourself in a position where you're feeling like you have to go out there and you have to find somebody, because if you feel like you're in that mode, it could potentially bring up either some insecurities in relationships or some doubt for you, or it could be having you kind of connect with some people that may not necessarily be on your wavelength. She says, I'm ready to go out, but got deceived. So, you know, Seven of Swords can talk about deception. So this is interesting because this is in the past position. So, you know, on one hand, the Seven of Swords talks about, okay, fool me once, shame on you, but fool me twice, shame on me. So I see this kind of being like a situation that's like, okay, you know, awareness of whatever happened in terms of how you feel like you got played. I'm saying this to you with the devil here as I'm looking at my cards of the day, very similar cards. So it must be in the skies right now. Lots of planets coming into conjunction with both Saturn and Neptune over this next month. And actually, as we head into the weekend, the sun is coming into conjunction with Neptune. And so I'm kind of feeling like part of what's going on maybe for you is this sense of being like, okay, I got fleeced once, like, you know, am I missing something? Like, do I need to be looking in other places? Like, what's the deal? So maybe part of the Nine of Pentacles is about feeling like you're rebuilding your confidence when it comes to connecting with people, recognizing and realizing it's not you. Maybe it's a situation where it was just wrong person, wrong time. This does also talk about being more in control and calling the shots, or deciding, you know, who, what, where, when. And maybe having a little bit more of a say in the process of dating, and whether that's, you know, whether or not you're going to be meeting them in certain places, or whether or not you want to spend a period of time before you physically meet them. Because the Nine of Pentacles reminds me of like a woman who is, you know, like wealthy and beautiful and successful and independent. And she's like walking through this square and she has the attention of like all of these people and all of these men, but she's like, I don't need them, you know? So it's about kind of approaching dating in a way of being like, okay, you know, if I'm actually going to take the time to invest in another person, what do they bring to the equation? What can they offer me that I can't give to myself already? So that's something just to kind of think about, you know, being very selective about who you decide to kind of give your time to. Then we've got the Devil card popping up. And so the Devil card does talk about, you know, repetition in situations, feeling kind of limited, feeling kind of locked down in a way, or, you know, bad patterns or bad habits that come up. Sometimes the Devil card can also talk about people who can feed on certain situations. So maybe it's like you're going out and you're like, I'm good, I'm ready to meet people, but you're meeting people who are habitually in the same patterns and the same habits, like, you know, going relationship to relationship and never really taking the time to heal their wounds or like integrate and learn not to be attached to a relationship, right? That's possible. The Devil card can be about people who have addiction, or people who have honesty issues, or people who have, you know, drug problems, or people who are like very limiting, or they can be kind of like cruel or mean. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if you're looking at the situation with what happened where you feel like you were deceived and you're like, okay, you know, that person was extremely cruel, or maybe this is some kind of karmic thing that I'm sorting out. You know, I see that you're saying that your natal moon is in Pisces, okay, at 16 degrees. So Saturn is coming up on your moon right now. So you're going to want to look at what house is ruled by the moon, right? What house is Cancer? And also, what does Saturn rule? Because Saturn going into a conjunction with your moon represents some kind of hardening or karmic situations revolving around home, women, motherhood, family. But you have to know what both Saturn and the moon rule. Now, it can be a time, because your moon's at 16 degrees. 16 degrees deals very specifically with Cancer energy. So it's a double Cancer energy. It can deal with your home. And I think Saturn is being boundaries. So maybe you're like, okay, I'll go out and I'll meet people, but they're not coming home. They're not coming to my house, or I'm not immediately, introducing them to my kids or to my family. I'm not letting anybody do overnights. Like I'm not giving away my address, you know, these things. I know it sounds weird, but that might be some stuff that kind of comes up. You may also be more so critical or hard on yourself emotionally. Okay, cool. So Saturn is in your, Cancer is your second house, and your natal Saturn then is in your sixth. Okay, so Saturn represents in your chart then your 8th house, because that's Capricorn, and your 9th house, which rules is traditionally ruled by Saturn. So this can be about, I think, whether or not, yeah, you're, you know, willing to share your home, whether you're willing to let people in. This can be also financial. So you can be a lot more cautious about what's going on with finances while, you know, Saturn is hitting your moon, because Cancer rules your second house. So I know all of this is happening for you in Pisces. So it sounds like this is all taking place closer to your 10th house. So that means that you are a Gemini rising. I think also, like, you know, so much of all the planets that are kind of moving through, you know, your 11th house right now can be a lot about socializing and getting out and meeting people and doing it in an independent way. And it's not necessarily just about finding romantic partners. It's about getting out and being active. So part of it might mean that you're breaking away from feeling like you're in environments or in dynamics where you're meeting people who are kind of desperate for a relationship. Maybe you're more open to the idea of being like, I just want to get out there and socialize and meet people. And you probably feel like you have very limited free time of when you can do that with the heavy 10th house. So it might be a good idea to join new groups, you know, especially active groups, younger people, or like, you know, play more of a role and independently kind of going and doing things like socially. And that will kind of help you, you know, go and connect with other people. I think for a lot of like Gemini risings this year, you know, having Jupiter go into your sign is really great for career. It's really great for travel. And it can bring a partner to you, because Jupiter rules your 7th house. So you're going to definitely see a lot more relationship stuff kick up. But right now, I think it's about forgiving yourself maybe for feeling like you kind of got, you know, taken advantage of or deceived, you know, kind of healing that, you know, raising your boundaries a little bit, and also your standards, and really making sure that you understand that, you know, you don't want to be bringing in people who are looking to like prey on someone, or somebody who needs to have a relationship for security, because you know you don't need that. Even though you want companionship, you're going to be very selective with who you're willing to kind of let in. Okay, hopefully that's helpful for you. And definitely that Jupiter-Uranus conjunction that's going to take place is probably going to be a big epiphany that you're going to have about relationships. Watch the transits in May when planets come into conjunction with Jupiter. That can manifest as like a really significant kind of behind the scenes romantic fling. So something can happen there. Good luck. I've got Vanessa, Kara, and then Chelsea. If you guys are still joining me, you want to get a reading, scan the QR code up here. It can take you to the PayPal. We can do a 1-card reading for $20 or a 3-card reading for $40. Vanessa says, 3-card spread. I want to ask about my love life or their lack of. I'm wondering if I'll meet someone special this year or rekindle with someone genuine, sincere from the past. Any insight or tips I could meet and dates to consider to look out for? I am so ready to be spoiled. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's see what these cards say for you. This is what I have. Knight of Wands, 10 of Swords, and the Magician. The feeling that I'm getting with this is because the 10 of Swords is the card of like endings, completions, like sometimes disappointment, like letting go. And generally fire energy is about new people coming in. I'm not so sure about people from the past. I know, because I remember your chart, your 7th house ruler, Venus is in the 4th. Venus is in the 4th conjunct your 7th house ruler, Saturn. So what this means is you have a tendency to have people come back. Yes, that is the case. And you're having Pluto trine Venus. So it's not necessarily like, oh, do we want to like Frankenstein old relationships and like resuscitate them and like bring them back from the dead? I could see you considering that with the Pluto trine But I really think that, this is about new people coming in. And you'll see that as Pluto goes back and forth over your South Node for this next year. It's like really trying to like energetically, sexually, completely, I think, break apart and kind of like split off from whatever you've had in the past. And also I think it can definitely be kind of like clearing the karmic connections where you've gone round and round and round with people. So the first card that comes up is the Knight of Wands. So the Knight of Wands is usually young, creative, fun, charming. Obviously fire elements are people who can sometimes show up around their element. So you want to be looking at like April for Aries, July for Leo, or August, one of those 2 months. And then Sagittarius will be closer to like end of November, beginning of December. The Knight of Wands is somebody who kind of like just shows up. You don't have to go looking for him. He shows up because knights get on their horse and they ride into battle. So this can represent an Aries, Leo, or Sagittarius that comes into your life, and it's like wildfire. And it's very much about passion and the chase and that romantic connection. And it's like, I'm not going to say it couldn't be lovey-dovey, but it's just more very charged with adventure, excitement, and having fun. And it's somebody who wants to say, hey, let's go on a road trip. Let's go to a baseball game. Let's go and hang out and go dancing. Like, it's not somebody who's just going to kind of like be a slug and lay around. They're going to want to do something. So in this case, I think that it can be somebody who kind of like really wakes you up, and it can pull you out of your past patterning in relationships. So that 10 of Swords is saying like, where, situations really do need to be done. They need to be buried, healing, and also moving on from some of these past relationships, especially where there's been lots of disappointment, and feeling as if like, you can't go on because you've been feeling like you've like been done dirty. Literally, the 10 of Swords can be this feeling of being like stabbed in the back. It can also mean that with some of the relationships that you've had in the past, that it is not likely a good idea to be resurrecting them, especially when the Knight shows up and it's trying to kind of like usher you into like this new phase in relationships. The final card that I got for you is the Magician card. So this is a major arcana card. The Magician card can talk about somebody who comes in that totally changes and transforms the way that you actually like see relationships. It can be a time where you're like, oh my gosh, magic is possible, manifestations work, like this is what I've been asking for, like boom, out of the blue. And I think with the Magician card, it can also be saying that you can bring people in that, even though they can be inspiring and they can be creative and fun and very different, be mindful that the magician in itself can also be like a little shifty sometimes. Like I sometimes think of like a used car salesman or somebody who comes in and they kind of try to sell you something that sounds too good to be true. With the Knight of Wands, it's less about sitting and talking about, well, what are we doing? And like, are we together? And like wanting to have like the really in-depth emotional connections. The Knight of Wands wants to kind of keep the show going. It wants to keep the chase going. It wants to continue to kind of have fun and travel and party. So I do feel like if what you're looking for is the opportunity to say, I want to do something different. I want to have fun. I want to go out and have a good time. I want to shift the way that I look at relationships. I want somebody to kind of pursue me and chase me. Awesome. But I don't see this being like oh my God, head over heels, now we're talking about our forever. No. And I think Pluto on your South Node is also trying to get you to detach from the idea of, possession, equating to love or security. Very much not the case. Now you're going to see that if you really want to bring somebody in, if you want something that feels wealthy or abundant, it can be in a sense of helping liberate you and free you from the past. The right person can do that, and it can kind of help you shake out all of like the trauma drama of the ex-loves and the people that you've been kind of going round and round with, and it can kind of help distract you. I did look at the bottom of the deck, and the reason why I said what I said about the Magician is because the Seven of Swords popped up again. So that does mean that, it's like the person who's coming in, they're coming in to kind of help shake you up and pull you out of this phase of where you have been fixated on the past. I'm not saying you can't trust them. I'm just saying that you have to really be more focused on the connection than the actual breakdown and the understanding and the commitment in the relationship, because he's going to want to do things purely from the sake of passion, right? But what I love about the Magician is that he has everything at his fingertips. He's got pentacles for money, wands for creativity, you know, chalices for emotions. He's got swords for communication. So there can be this sense of him being like, what do you want? I've got it. I'll give it to you. So it doesn't seem like it has to be the situation where you're dealing with somebody who's got a few of the traits that you want, but they don't really have the ability to grow or change or evolve with you. Where the Magician makes me feel like it can, so he can provide you with what it is that you're looking for, but it does look like, you know, I would not be immediately jumping the gun and being like, oh, this is my forever person, because that Seven of Swords comes up. It's like there's somebody who's coming in purely just to get you out of your rut. Whether you stay with them or not, that's really up to you, but you know, it can be a really good physical connection, and it can also be something that's incredibly like passionate and very exciting in terms of some of the things that you guys do together. So just some food for thought. Hopefully that's helpful. What's up, Ivy? It just depends. I've got about 1, 2, 3, 4 people that are in the queue right now, unless somebody else jumped in. But I update it every now and then to let you guys know who I've got. What's going on with PayPal? This is like the second week in a row that this has done this. What did I do with my phone? Sorry, guys. PayPal is like having me confirm things that I can't confirm. Give me just a second here. Maybe it thinks I'm logging in too many times. I don't even know. There we go. All right. Now I can get in. All right. Thanks for your patience. What's up, Astro Pillars? They're asking what deck I'm using. This is the Victorian Romantic deck. And that is by Baba Studios. Okay, so I've got Kara, Coco. We've got Chelsea, Adriana. We have got It's Girl Apparel, Anne. We've got Lauren and Magic Lotus Botanica. Okay, so that's who I've got. And make sure you guys put your question in the memo box when you send it for me, please and thank you. Baba Studios is some of my favorite card deck makers. They make some really, really beautiful stuff. They've got like the Bohemian Gothic. They've got the Alice in Wonderland Tarot. They do so many things, and their decks sell out always. They have to do a couple different prints. This is one, actually this is one I've been collecting, I think, since like 2009, 2010. One of the first real nice decks I bought myself was this, and I bought every single version. They are beautiful. The stock's beautiful. The images are beautiful. All right, so we are going to move now to Coco. Okay, so this is going to be for Coco. So Coco, Chelsea, and Adriana, you guys are on deck. All right, cool. I got you there, Lauren. All right, so Coco says, I had my first date with Johnny, a Scorpio rising, Pisces sun, Libra moon. I thought it went really well and liked him a lot, but he rejected me because he didn't feel a, quote, spark or, quote, fireworks, which I think is immature for a long-term relationship, which I expressed to him. Curious if he will circle back or reconsider, especially with these eclipses. And you had mentioned watch when Saturn hits his sun. Thank you. All right, well, let's see what is up with this particular Johnny, this Scorpio rising Pisces sun. Will he be back? What should Coco be looking for? All right, so in this order, 9 of Swords, 4 of Wands, 6 of Swords. Well, I think about how, I think about a couple things. I think about Scorpio risings and the fact that they're going to have this Libra lunar eclipse in their 12th house. You know, for a single Scorpio rising, it can represent a need to completely like clear out and kind of reset and reassess really what they're looking for in their love life. It can be a time where they are subconsciously creating blocks from other people because Libra is relating, right? So the 12th house could mean that they're kind of closing off their energy to people. And you're going to see Venus conjunct Saturn in the 5th, so it can materialize just coming into this eclipse soon. That's like, you know, maybe I'm feeling it, maybe I'm not. Saturn is a block and Venus is relationship. So this can be kind of the precursor of the particular eclipse. Then I think about the second eclipse that's going to happen in Aries, where we're going to see a Mars-Saturn conjunction, which will also talk about more challenges in opening up the heart space, you know, remaining vulnerable, being open to relationships. So he could be feeling that from these eclipses, especially with Saturn coming up on his sun. You know, it's really hard, I think, when Saturn's in the 5th house to feel romantically or creatively fulfilled because Saturn feels like it's like a block. So there can be the sense of being like, no, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. But the question is he trying or his expectations, you know, a little bit too high? I don't know. We have got a 6 of Swords, 4 of Wands, 9 of Swords. I'm going to be very blunt with you. I think that it is possible that there is like another reconnection. And I say that because the 4 of Wands does talk about meeting in a social space, like drinks, dinner, a show, a bar, like doing something where there are other people. But I have a feeling that like he may still leave you hanging. Okay, that's kind of the feeling that I'm getting. I kind of feel like with the 6 of Swords, the way that you're looking at the situation is, okay, you know what? He told me he wasn't feeling it. Like, I'll see you later. I'm out. Like, I'm not going to continue to pursue that situation if that's how he feels. But still, you know, close enough that if he wanted to reach out, you could be like, okay, I can hop out of my boat. You want to hang out again? Like, you would take him up on that opportunity. The 6 of Swords does talk about generally about 6 weeks. Okay, so over the next 6 weeks, which makes sense because we've got an eclipse here that's literally in about a week. A little more than a week, and then we've got another eclipse that's going to be in roughly 3 weeks. So it's within this time frame. While the 6 of Swords talks about being in limbo, so it can also mean that you're like, well, he told me he wasn't like super sure or he didn't feel a spark, but he didn't say, hey, you know, like don't call me. So it's kind of like leaving you in a position where you're like, do I reach out or do I not reach out? I personally don't think you will. I don't think you will reach out. And I don't think you should. If that's how he wanted to leave it, I mean, could have said something else, but it sounds like you kind of put like a bit of a bad taste in your mouth. That 4 of Wands does make me feel like also another thing that could pop up is that you run into him literally in another place. You see him, you connect to him in some way. Maybe you guys reconnect temporarily. This does seem like it would be something quick that you would do over the span of like either an hour to a couple hours, like nothing like super long. And then finally, you know, the 9 of Swords is like, wait, where did he go? Like, am I ever going to hear from him again? Like, you know, what's the problem now? You know, and I think about, because he has that natal moon in Pisces, even though that moon, the natal moon in Libra, even though that can be like romantic and sweet and idealistic, it's in his 12th house. So that means he quite literally like can hide from partners. He could hide away from people or become overly, you know, idealistic about love and have these unrealistic expectations, or he romanticizes the idea of relationships, but then when he's presented with the opportunity, he runs away. So, you know, part of the lesson, I think, as a Saturn, you know, Sun transit that he's going through in Pisces is he has to show up and be willing to do the work, right? He has to be willing to kind of make moves as well. Not crazy about this ending, to be honest with you. I do feel like he'll kind of leave you hanging again. So whether you end up talking to him or you end up running into him and you guys catch up and he's like, yeah, like we should do something again, or hey, like let's go out and grab a drink, I would be like, have very, very, very low expectations. Because the Nine of Swords, I don't want to see you being like, maybe he's coming around. But in reality, I think he's giving it a second shot, or he's connecting with you again. I don't think he dislikes you. But I do feel like this makes me see the situation as like, then you're kind of wondering like, okay, is he ever going to call again? And this is about sometimes stress or anxiety or obviously sleepless nights, although I don't think you're going to lose a lot of sleep over somebody you went on one date with. But it does kind of leave you holding the bag a little bit emotionally. So if he does decide to come back around, I wouldn't beat him up, but I would be like, why did you come back? You know, sure, you want to do something, we can do something. I mean, you don't have to be serious. You can kind of just josh with him, because I do feel like maybe if you guys go out and you do something different and you're in a different dynamic, you may see other aspects of your guys' personality at play, and you might realize that there really is a decent connection there. Like it or not, many Scorpio risings are going to have like a major kind of like sudden, like I guess exponential growth in relationships is what you're going to see with Jupiter and Uranus in their 7th. Even if it doesn't happen exactly in the month of April, something where somebody was friends could suddenly take off and become romantic. So I think that in itself, if you guys are still connecting or kind of like talking or hanging out, he may have this sudden realization within a matter of literally 2 months. That's like, whoa, there's something really significant here that maybe I didn't feel right off the bat, but now it's growing, right? Anyway, food for thought. I hope that that's helpful. And I would say keep on keeping on, girl. Keep on keeping on. All right, so we're going to have Chelsea. And then Adriana. If you guys are tuning in, we'll leave this open for another 5 minutes or so. You guys want to get a reading, scan the QR code. Good luck, Coco. My grandma always used to say, men are like streetcars. There's always another one coming. Don't worry. I have a feeling we're going to hear a lot of stuff like this. That and everybody's going to be like, is my ex coming back? All right, let's see. What did Chelsea say? 3-card spread, love. Will my old thing come back? Can you guys tell that Venus is in Pisces? Venus is approaching Saturn? Or is there something new? Should I just be focused on me still? What's the vibe? All right, thanks, Chelsea. So you are a Taurus rising, Leo sun, okay, Virgo moon. All right, got it. So what's up with love? Is an old thing coming back? Is there something new coming up? What does she need to focus on? This is going to be all week. Really into the eclipses, actually. All right, so we've got some interesting conflicting cards here. 9 of Cups, 5 of Wands, the Moon card. It's almost like there is this sense of, I don't like saying like confusion, but there seems to be about like a lot of going back and forth here, because there's a lot of polarity to these cards. The 9 of Cups generally for me is like the green light. This is the wish card. This is wish fulfillment and getting what you want. And then we've got the 5 of Wands, which is more about like feeling conflicted or conflicting energies or a little bit of back and forth or a bit of a struggle or an uphill battle. And then the Moon card comes up and you're like, oh my God, I don't even know if that's what I want anymore. Like, I almost wonder, are you unconsciously manifesting things? My life has been conflicting and confused lately, not loving the energy. Yeah, welcome to the tail end of Pisces season. Part of me feels inclined to tell you with this 9 of Cups, 5 of Wands, and the Moon card to be careful what you wish for, you know? Like, we've all seen Practical Magic, right? Raise your hand if you've seen that movie. And obviously I know she brought him back because she had to, because he was dead in the yard. Otherwise she was going to potentially get arrested for murder. But they brought him back and she was like, well, maybe, you know, like he'll be nicer, maybe he'll be different. And they bring that boyfriend back and he's like, you know, some like kind of otherworldly demon. I say this because the Nine of Cups talks about what it is you want. You're like, yes, this is what I want. It seems really good. Or you're overly idealizing that person or that situation. And then the Five of Wands comes up and it's like, okay, maybe something starts kind of going in that direction. And then it brings with it a lot of conflict. It brings with it a lot of like chaos. And then the Moon card comes up and you're like, this is nuts. Like, I don't want this. Like, why is this happening? I almost feel like the universe is giving you a lesson right now in really being more conscious of what you're asking for, right? Because what you want and what's actually good for you might be two different things. So if you keep going over and over being like, no, I want what I want, and then you realize there's so many, hurdles and obstacles and things to actually get that, you may not be seeing that this is resistance that's coming up specifically because it's the universe's way of being like, girl, you really want to go through that beating again? Okay. And then it'll give it to you. And then you start to look at it and go like, this is actually causing more conflict, more confusion, more mental, emotional issues. Like maybe this isn't what I want. And then you go into the cycle of the Moon. Now I'm going to kind of hide away, take time by myself. I'm going to reflect, realize what I need, work through my emotions. If anything, this is serving almost as a catalyst for, recognizing and realizing what you don't need emotionally. The fact that you may go back to certain situations or certain people only to realize that it's too much work, that they're not actually, letting you love them, or it's not working because it's not a vibrational match, whatever the reason is. So some of the resistance that's coming up is to kind of make you work on the core issues of why maybe you will repeat some of the habits that you repeat in relationships. But the good news is that the Nine of Cups does talk about, well, you're going to get what you want when you've taken time to reflect. Confirmation card that I got for you is the Queen of Pentacles. So the Queen of Pentacles is about knowing your worth, standing your ground, maintaining your sense of integrity, really focusing on your self-worth, investing in yourself, and also maturing. There is a sense of maturity that kind of comes with that as well. She says, thanks. Okay, I received that. I feel like I already went through that with Venus last summer. I don't want to do it again. So this is super validating. And maybe this is about working more with the Moon. So the Moon card coming up can talk about when you have this lunar eclipse coming in. This is the next full moon on the 25th. Maybe that's a time to like sit down and be like, okay, universe, like I am releasing all of these old hangups in relationships with love. I'm releasing any blockages or anything that I need to kind of let go of that is keeping me from a healthy, loving, fulfilling relationship. And so I'm setting it free. And whatever's meant to come back will come back. But I'm genuinely not having any attachments and letting things go. And that may be what you're realizing, that it's like the path of least resistance, right? Because there's a whole lot of resistance here. Five of Wands is like kind of feeling like you're kind of having to duck and, people are kind of swinging at you. And any which way you go, you're kind of getting hit. So take note of where there's some resistance right now because it's trying to kind of redirect you, right? Hopefully that's helpful for you, Chelsea. We're going to do last call in 2 minutes. Kimmy says, healthy choices. Healthy choices. I've got Adriana, and then It's a Girl, and then Anne. Let's see. Did she ask me my question? Let me take a look. So no one won. What's your question? Let me know so I can answer that for you because you're coming up next. You're welcome. All right, so let's see what Adriana says. Adriana says, hey Candace, I've been recently experiencing many moments of deja vu. It's been happening very strongly and much more frequently than normal recently. I'm wondering what's going on. I am a Libra rising, Virgo sun, Sagittarius moon. Well, I've been noticing it too. Might be a Libra rising thing. I don't know. I think it's because there's been so many transits in Pisces. Personally, there was like a Mercury in Pisces transit. There was obviously Sun's been going through there. Venus is now there for you as a Libra rising. That's important. This is about fine-tuning your habits and your daily routine when it comes to your intuition, right? Pisces in the 6th. Health, habits, and that stuff too. You'll notice there's some health tweaks there. But probably what's going on is that you're seeing Saturn, Neptune, Mercury aspects in opposition to your sun in the 12th, you know? So you're having to like pay attention and listen to all these like little synchronicities. And the eclipse is coming on your ascendant sign. So that can be a time where you're much more in tune to things. I've noticed it too. I've had a lot of deja vu. I think it's been about 3 times this week, which is probably more than it's been in a really long time. And it's like random things that like I don't recognize until after I'm standing there and I'm like, wait a second, I had a dream about this. So it's got to mean that something's on track, right? Let's see. I've always thought deja vu means you're kind of at the right time in the right place. It's like your way of recognizing like, okay, this is the path, you know? We've got the 8 of Swords, the 7 of Pentacles, and Judgment. Have you been feeling stuck, disconnected, questioning things, wondering how you're going to see your way out of a situation, feeling like there is a sense of you being like on your own, you know? The 8 of Swords does talk about being in a situation where you feel limited. Usually you see a woman tied up, blindfolded at night, and she's got all these swords around her, and her hands aren't tied, but because her eyes are blindfolded and she's got a bunch of swords around her, she feels like stuck, like she can't get out of the situation. And something that I wish this deck had was that blindfold, because what happens to us when we're blindfolded, right? Our sense of smell can be stronger, our, clairsentience, just kind of feeling when things are around, our sense of hearing can get stronger. So I feel like that 8 of Swords is where you're feeling stunted or blocked, maybe intuitively or mentally. You are tapping into 7 of Pentacles, other things that's giving you confirmation that, you're doing the right thing, or you're on the right path, or you're where you're supposed to be. You're working on what you're supposed to be working on. I wonder what the deja vu is about. Because 7 of Pentacles can mean making changes in your health, changes with your finances, changes with your routine, changes at work. You might notice it. I mean, deja vu is you notice it in the moment, but this is right when you're in the middle of doing something and you're like, wait a second, this feels like I've been here before. What's going on? Judgment is coming up, which is kind of interesting because what's going on in the background of the Judgment card? A solar eclipse. So definitely, I think as a Libra rising, that solar eclipse that's coming in your 7th house is about big turning points in regards to relationships with other people. And so the Judgment card isn't necessarily saying it's about relationships, but it can be saying that this is a moment of reckoning where you're really like asking yourself like, okay, oh my God, I'm on the right track. Am I on the right track? Oh, there's that sign from the universe, 7 of Pentacles can be about eating better. It can be about, tending to your health. It can be really focusing on what you're eating or what you're consuming or what you're like removing from your diet. It can also mean that you're consciously taking your time to kind of like really work at it and like see the results that you want, but they may be slow. She said, I feel like I'm going through a massive life detox recently. Yeah. And somebody else is mentioning the mutable squares. I mean, if you've got Virgo and Sagittarius in your chart, then as Saturn and Neptune go through your 6th house, where you can feel like, what is my daily routine? Where am I going? What is my purpose? It's squaring your moon. Your moon is the focal point of a T-square. And then later this year, Jupiter will go into Gemini. So you're going to see a huge mutable grand cross in your chart in the mutable houses, which is about changes to how we think, how we move, what we believe in, how we feel, and behind the scenes. Maybe really look at that Sagittarius moon. The moon rules your 10th house. So it's about your career, your reputation. So as Saturn and Neptune square that, you're going, okay, well, do I feel like I'm doing the work I should be doing? Is my daily routine, positive for my mental health? Is it good for my emotions? Do I feel like I have a, creative or inspirational kind of outlet? What could I be doing to make that possible? And so then, you know, that Eight of Swords feels like maybe you're feeling trapped and you're trying to find ways to be able to kind of build a new routine or build healthier habits. And the Judgment card can be talking about having this realization that it's time to do that. And maybe some of the visions that you're getting are because, you know, you're getting that confirmation, you know, from your higher self, or perhaps even this is about having some realizations that's like, okay, you know what, this is definitely, if I'm starting to feel my intuition coming back, this is definitely something that, you know, I should be doing. And Judgment is about making big decisions, huge turning points in regards to, you know, once you make this decision, you know, it'll change a lot of things moving forward. The eclipses for Libra are pretty significant. You know, an eclipse on the ascendant affects the body. The ruler is Venus, and it's conjunct Saturn, obviously, in your 6th house. So there's a lot of having to look at how much are you giving to other people, and are you giving too much to other people? Are you working too much, dedicating too much time? Are you not making enough time for yourself? What are your habits that you're creating? If you're doing what you need to do, then these eclipses are just going to kind of foreshadow some of the stuff you're already doing, and it's going to further enhance that. But if you're not, it can have an impact on your health or your daily routines or where you're working or how you're working. You factor that into a solar eclipse in your 7th house 2 weeks later, and that's going to be about your relationship to other people. So it's a good time to be making sure that you're giving yourself what you need. And I think deja vu, like dreaming, you know, if you're having dreams coming in, if you're having these visions come in, it means that there is something that's obviously kind of getting cleared out for you. And I personally think that's a good thing. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Adriana. Readings have now closed. So I've got It's Girl, Anne, and then Lauren. Let's see what she says here. She says, hi, will the guy I love have the same feelings for me? Possible to have a relationship with him? 13 degrees Sag rising, 21 degrees Taurus moon. Ooh, so Jupiter, Uranus about to hit your moon, girl. 6 degree Virgo sun, so that's going to be in your, let's see, it's going to be in your 10th house, right around your midheaven, and 28 degrees Venus in Leo. So Jupiter rules your 7th house, you know, and Jupiter is about to hit Uranus, so that can represent a big breakthrough in terms of relationships in the spring. But then you want to watch when like Jupiter and Venus and the Sun start moving into Gemini at the end of May, beginning of June. That's a big turning point for relationships for Sagittarius risings. Let's take a look. Let's see. So will she have mutual love for this person and a relationship with him? All right, in this order. Well, you gotta make a move first. I've got the Hanged Man, the Two of Wands, and the Page of Pentacles. So we've got a major arcana popping up, and we've got a court card. There's nothing coming up that's talking about cups necessarily. So it's not necessarily talking about romantic love in that sense, but the Hanged Man coming up first is like kind of being like suspended in the situation. It's being like, do I say something or do I not say something? And then right when you think you're going to say something or you're going to like make that connection, there can be a sense of being like, no, I need to wait until it's the right time. I will tell you around the 11th of April, being that you're a Sag rising, so you're going to have a solar eclipse on April 8th in your 5th house of romance, creativity, and expression, which is really good for Sag risings. You should go watch my eclipse video on that. I talk about how this is about planting a seed, about, you know, bringing you more love, more opportunities for creativity, more opportunities for pleasure, better self-expression. And so if you're single, it's like the chef's kiss of eclipses because it's about healing your heart and letting somebody in. Then you're going to see a couple days later on the 11th, Mercury will cazimi with the sun. And so this can literally bring a message. Mercury rules your 7th house. Could also be about a Virgo where you're going back and forth with somebody. And relaying a message and telling them how you feel. So I wonder if there's going to be something like that happening. Now, the Hangman in the previous position is kind of saying there's been like some fear about being able to make a move or saying something. Two of Wands in the current position means that you're open, you're optimistic, you're like, oh, could there be something here? Is there a connection? Could it be mutual? and you're still trying to decide which lane you're going to be in. So where the hangman is like, no, I don't even want to say anything at all. I just want to kind of be left alone and see what happens. Now you're realizing that nothing's going to happen unless you take some kind of action. So there is a sense of strategizing and being like, okay, you know, what could I do to potentially get his attention or have this conversation? Final card is the Page of Pentacles. So the pages are the youngest of all of the minor arcana, you know, like pip cards. They do represent sometimes younger people, or can represent a situation that's brand new and just beginning. Page of Pentacles can be a Virgo, right? Or a Capricorn or a Taurus. So it can be kind of like naming somebody specifically based off of their sun. So that can be you, or that can be the person that you're connecting with. And the Page of Pentacles is somebody who you're just, you know, starting to kind of build with. And they can also be seen as planting a seed. So it may mean that, you know, there is an offering or there is an exchange. You know, pages usually offer something because they've got a coin. You see in the traditional Rider-Waite deck, they've got a little coin in their hand. So they're saying, hey, do you want to do this with me? You know, although it's less about action. It's more like, do you want to have lunch? Do you want to have a drink? You know, do you want to kind of get together and do something? Or like, here, I brought you this little gift. There is some kind of an exchange that happens there. And from that, it seems like you're going to kind of assess the situation and see if it has room for growth. But the fact that the reading starts with the hangman is kind of saying, like, you're not going to know until you're willing to take a chance. You have to be willing to put yourself out there and be vulnerable. I think what a wonderful time with this eclipse coming in the next month in your 5th house for opportunities for romance. But also it's about self-love and feeling confident and being more daring when it comes to relationships and being willing to kind of put yourself out there and potentially get hurt in the process. But I don't really see that happening. I just think it's going to take a little bit of time before you guys are going to start to see something evolve, and you're going to have to either create a situation or you know, some way of being able to be like, okay, how can I get in there and kind of get to know this person better and get their attention? And I think the 2 of Wands means that this is what you're trying to kind of formulate and work out right now. He may be slow. Page of Pentacles can be slow. They can be a little quiet. They can take a little bit longer to kind of get a response from them. But I do think that there is definitely something here, because the page does talk about the need to kind of like at least initiate something and feel it out. But once again, make the decision that you're going to do that. Don't stall with that hangman coming up in the current position. Okay. Good luck. All right, so let's see. We've got Anne. Anne says, happy St. Patrick's Day. But nothing's moving, yeah. I think that there has got to be something else that you do. Like the Page of Pentacles would be like, you know, oh, I got you this, like it could be something small. I got you this like little thing. I want to give it to you. When can I see you? You know? That kind of stuff. All right, so, all right, this is going to be for Anne. It says, happy St. Patrick's Day. And let me see, who else do we have after this? We will have Lauren and Magic Lotus. Oh, come on. PayPal is so nasty tonight. What is going on? It's like, hey, you're signing in too many times. Give me my code. Come on, PayPal. There we go. All right. Try this again. So we've got Anne, Lauren, Magic Lotus, Kelly, Angela, and Omar. Okay, so that's who I've got. All right, so Anne, you have any particular questions? I got 6 of Swords. Excuse me, yeah, 6 of Swords for you. That can be about being in limbo, traveling, relocating, or feeling like you're kind of moving from one situation into another. Bottom card that I get for confirmation is the Queen of Swords. So this can be about changing your mind, changing your direction when it comes to a trip, traveling, an idea, something that you're putting together. It can be social, communication, movement, relocation. What I like about the Six of Swords is that it does talk about moving on to calmer waters, right? We think about the House of Swords. This is a challenging element. It does represent sometimes, competition, mental strife, conflict, right? Dangerous situations. So by the time we get to the Six of Swords, this is a card that's basically saying like, okay, we get a little bit of like a rest and a reset before we get to like the next series of obstacles that we're going to be dealing with. This also deals specifically with, thinking about where you're going and like taking a break to like pause and reflect. It's not about being in motion. It's about being like, okay, we're going to look at where we've been and we're just taking time to kind of like process. And now we're thinking about where we're going next. You see like a man that is helping a woman and child cross a river and move away from a city that's like on fire. So it can indicate that you're now recovering from a traumatic situation, or you're recovering from what feels like several weeks or months of not being able to catch your breath. That confirmation with the Queen of Swords is about being like, I'm not going to get stuck in where I've been. I'm not going to be stuck in victim mentality. I'm not going to think worst case scenario. I'm not going to get wrapped up in the stress and anxiety of what has happened. I'm going to take something from this experience. I'm going to learn something. And it's also going to inspire me to think differently, communicate differently, stand up for myself, be more vocal about things. And I like that, the card does also depict like these two people having safety and security on the boat as well. They've got a fire, there's food, they've got shelter. So it's saying like where you're at right now, there is a sense of being like, I have everything that I need. I really just need to kind of be, right? Let's see. So yes, I've been recovering from a lot with family, acceptance, and gratitude. And also, not everybody can fit on this small little gondola ride. So this can also mean that you're very selective after everything that has kind of happened or the fallout. You're very selective with who you're taking with you on this journey. So very few people can kind of go along with you, or maybe there is a sense of having appreciation for the core people that are around you that are supporting you during this like situation, right? And so like maybe you've like simplified your life a lot and you're like, I realize I don't need much. I have everything that I need, and it's just these core people in like this situation and I'm good to go, Yeah, I mean, every deck is different, but in this deck, they have shelter and they have like food and security, and there's very few people there. So hopefully that's helpful for you, especially if you feel like you've kind of been in like a transition period. It seems like there's definitely new things on the horizon, and this is still a time of you being able to kind of have peace and kind of like assessing a situation and doing some healing. All right, so we've got Lauren and then Magic Lotus. What's up, Lauren? Lauren says, what will life be like once I move in with my boyfriend? He's a Cap rising and I'm an Aries rising. We are currently building an addition to live in. ADU, what is that? I'm assuming that's an addition. My YouTube name is Ivy Rose. I also have Venus in Pisces. You're welcome, Gibson. So she wants to know, what will life be like once I move in with my boyfriend? Yeah. I know it's you. All right, so this is for you, Lauren. So that's funny. So Cap rising, generally not morning people. I don't know how many mornings you've spent with them. And then Aries rising is like they're up, they're doing their thing, they're on their own. So you're an Aries rising and moon with an Aquarius sun, Pisces, Venus. Okay. And he's a Capricorn rising with Cancer moon, Leo sun, Virgo, Venus. Okay. So this is the card for what life is going to be like. Oh, that's sweet. Page of Cups. Well, that's cool if he's a Cap rising and a Cancer moon. So he's soft on the inside. I see that Page of Cups as being like a really sweet beginning. You know, I see pages as being like an initiatory energy. So there is some sense of, you know, like really getting to know each other in this level. So I don't know if you guys have lived together before or what the deal is, but you know, Page of Cups is about nurturing. It's about romance. It's about being emotionally generous with each other. It's about affection. And also like really enjoying like the sweeter, like kinder moments. Couldn't have picked a better card, to be honest with you. I think what's also really interesting is that like, you know, this card comes up when it's usually like the honeymoon phase in a relationship or just getting to know somebody, or when like you just meet somebody and you like fall in love. So it can be an energy of really getting to know somebody on a much deeper, more intimate level, and realizing that like, wow, I'm experiencing emotions and feelings for somebody that I never really felt before. Obviously, if he's got a Virgo Venus, that is a, you know, placement of somebody who is helpful and generous, and somebody who is willing to, you know, do little acts of service and stuff for you. And you guys have a Venus opposition, so it can be very complementary to have those two different energies where, you know, especially with your Venus being in your 12th house, very romantic, willing to kind of give and be generous with another person. And then he's a Capricorn rising, so even though he's got Virgo Venus, that Venus is in his 9th house. So that talks about being adventurous and creative, and, you know, somebody who really enjoys culture and travel, and a little bit less stuffy maybe than most Venus in Virgos. So I do feel like this is gonna kind of bring you up to like a whole new level in regards to your relationship. And I definitely think that this is going to be a time where you can really feel like you're building something, you know, solid like together. And also like pages can talk about like, you know, children and younger people. So just so you know, sometimes pages come up where it can talk about the possibility of entering into a period where it's like, okay, you know, do we contemplate getting a dog or a cat, or do we have a kid? Like these things can kind of happen with pages as well. We've been together off and on for 4 years. We've been through a lot, and this is endgame for both of us. Well, congratulations on your new digs. I'm excited for you. When are you guys supposed to be moving? Obviously, he's a Capricorn rising, so the eclipse is in his 4th house, and then there's a retrograde, so y'all are moving. All right, so I've got Magic Lotus, and she says 3-card pull. I'm a Libra rising with a Taurus sun and a Leo moon. I've been doing lots of healing work. Is there a high frequency divine masculine partner entering my timeline anytime soon? Single since 2018. Any messages about business? Let's see. Oh, congratulations, Ivy. That is so exciting with those eclipses. All right, Magic Lotus, this is for you. We're going to do a 3-card pull. She's been doing a lot of healing work. She's questioning whether or not there's going to be a partner who is a masculine match entering her timeline. Let's take a look. Certainly, it's a big time for Libra risings, single Libra risings. North Node eclipse is in your 7th, girl. That eclipse is going to plant a seed at the beginning of April, right? Solar eclipse in Aries conjunct Chiron could bring in a healing relationship. And Venus will be in the 7th house when that happens as well. So there's definitely new relationship stuff coming, but it can be counselors, therapists, business partners, clients, you know, all that stuff. So these are the cards that I get for you. 8 of Cups, the Lovers, and the 7 of Pentacles. Well, it looks like there's been like a clearing out and a willingness to walk away before you kind of receive the new. So 8 of Cups is an interesting card in the past. You know, if you've been single since 2018, that's been a little while there. So I wonder, is it that you're finally like clearing everything out? You're finally letting go of any doubts or blockages or anything that's kind of like kept you attached to the past in some way. Eight of Cups is like literally like getting in your car and driving away, not looking in your rearview mirror, you know, where Libra risings can have a tendency to be like, well, what if, or like, what if I did this? And they, you know, they have a hard time making a decision. But it looks like the decision's been made. It's like, no, we move forward. There's only new things coming. We're not kind of entertaining or repeating some of the same patterns from the past. Obviously, cups are very emotional. So to have Eight of Cups coming up, it says that there was like a lot of different things that you had to kind of move through, you know, before you really got to the point where you were like, now I know that I'm ready for a relationship. I've done the necessary kind of work and now I'm ready to go. So it's been a journey for you, right? That's taken a while. Center card, we have the Lovers. And so this deck, I have two Lovers cards, one with a serpent, and I have another one that is, yeah, these lovers. So this is more sexual, romantic, twin flamey type of thing. So, you know, the Lovers can represent that. It can represent, you know, two souls kind of coming into one. It can represent some kind of really steamy, sexual kind of connection. But you were asking, is there a masculine vibrational match? So with the Lovers card, it does kind of talk about, you know, two people coming together and like this dance that you do where you have complementary energies and something that you quite literally cannot, you know, like you cannot keep yourself from. Like there's this force that just kind of brings you guys together over and over. The Lovers card can talk about this being a theme that's happening for you very much so when the sun is ingressing into Gemini. So as a Libra rising, you know, you're going to see that Jupiter will be going into your 9th house. So I think about, you know, Jupiter-Venus conjunction the end of May. I think about Mars-Jupiter conjunction. I think that's going to happen in July. That can be big for relationships as well. Traveling and meeting people in other places. Keep an eye out for that. That's definitely something that can happen. Gemini energies, more than one person that can kind of pop up. You can see that with the Mercury retrograde in your 7th as well. And I think that the Lovers card is just talking about like calling in that person that is your vibrational match. Then we get the 7 of Pentacles. So it's kind of saying like doing the work, slow and steady, consistent, investing in your ideas and your vision for the future and what you're hoping to acquire. The 7 of Pentacles is planting seeds and being like, okay, I'm waiting for my garden to grow. I need to weed the garden. I need to water it. I need to make sure it gets adequate sunshine and really tend to that before everything starts to kind of come into this bounty. So it is reminding you it's going to take time, right? It could be a period of 7 weeks, 7 months. It's also reminding you that, you know, now that you're coming into this point where you're open and you're ready for relationships, you're saying to yourself, I'm going to be very selective with who I decide to, you know, bring into my life, or who I decide to give time to, or who I decide to kind of entertain a relationship with. It does mean also that time, patience, dedication, these are all things that are going to kind of be kind of incorporated into what you're doing. But that solar eclipse is literally planting a seed, which is kind of funny. That will take about 13 months or so to unfold. So you will start to see, you know, obviously sometime between April and let's say about July, there's going to be some relationship action. But the real fireworks, I think, are going to be around the full moon that we're going to see later at the end of this year in the fall of 2024. And then next year, as Saturn goes into Aries and Neptune goes into Aries, oh my God, like Libra risings have so much relationship karma stuff that's going to start happening in this next year. And I think that you're getting ready to bring somebody in, but it's a very interesting relationship because you're saying, I'm not going to base it just off of passion. There's lots of passion there, but you're not looking for something that's going to burn up overly quickly. You're going to say, okay, you know, let's take our time. Let's see what's going on. This is great. But like, you know, does this have the capabilities of like really kind of lasting? And all Libra risings need to be really careful with who they're bringing in right now, because next year you got a Venus retrograde in Aries. You have got Saturn going into Aries. You've got Neptune going into Aries. Be very selective with who you choose to partner with, because you could, you know, really romanticize and idealize the kind of person that comes in and then you realize it's not what you thought they were. And I don't think that's the case here. I think you're taking your time because you don't want to see similar patterns happen as what's happened in previous relationships. And like you said, you're looking for quality, right? You're not just looking for like a steamy connection. You want something that's going to last. Hopefully that is helpful for you. Miss Lotus. All right, we got Kelly, Angela, and then Omar. All right, so Kelly Lee says, fertility reading for the eclipse coming up. Anything I need to focus on? Thank you so much. Well, fertility is interesting. So you mean fertility as in like baby stuff? Is that what you're asking for? So obviously a lunar eclipse is a full moon, so that can be about some kind of completion. But I would also think about the solar eclipse, because the solar eclipse can be very fertile because it's about planting new seeds. Maybe you guys have heard me talk about these eclipses already. The first one, the one in Libra, is going to be a lot easier than the one in Aries. And Libra is feminine. We got Venus in Pisces. So that's definitely a very fertile energy. So let's take a look. Let's see for Kelly Lee, fertility reading on this eclipse coming up. What should she focus on? All right, so in this order, oof, girl, a lot of this is some heavy stuff. 10 of Wands, King of Swords, and the Tower. I'm a Leo sun, Aquarius moon, Capricorn rising. Well, the good news is the astrology is on your side, okay? The astrology is on your side. Being a Capricorn rising, that Jupiter-Uranus transit into your 5th house in like April, May, really strong for fertility stuff, okay? And because the 5th house is ruled by Venus, you have to see what's going on with your natal Venus, what's happening there. And you will also see that there is going to be some retrogrades taking place in Leo. That'll be happening in August. That'll be happening again at the end of the year. And obviously, as your Aquarius moon, Pluto's in Aquarius, you got a lot of stuff going on that's really putting the focus on fertility. These are some challenging cards. You know, 10 of Wands talks about upheaval, you know, work, productivity, like getting something done, like handling a situation, you know, overcoming obstacles, like feeling determined, but also feeling exhausted. Then we have the King of Swords, which is talking about communication and how you're being able to mentally connect or verbally connect with another person. So this can be your partner, but this can also mean you know, dealing with a specialist or dealing with somebody who's giving you some kind of direction. It can also be talking about, you know, air signs. So Libra, Aquarius, Gemini energies. Obviously, as an Aquarius moon, I wonder, is this kind of referencing that you're feeling like it's overwhelming and it's almost like becoming like a chore or something that you're having to like manage, right? Because the 10 of Wands talks about like this overwhelming burden or this uphill battle. And like, obviously, you know, for some people, you know, pregnancy is not necessarily easy to acquire. So you have to like try and try again. And all of the stuff that you're doing, basically, you're kind of piling it all on each other, being like, oh my gosh, you know, I'm just trying to kind of make this thing happen. So if Pluto's transiting your Saturn and your moon, okay, at the same time, and you're a Capricorn rising, that basically means that, you know, Pluto is transiting your 1st house lord, right? Transiting on your Saturn and your moon. So we're going to break it down a little bit. The moon is emotions, right? Saturn is your body. In the 2nd house, it's what you're willing to invest, what you're eating, what you're consuming, what you're spending on fertility. Being that you have an Aquarius moon, that is an air sign moon. That doesn't necessarily mean you can't have children, but it's a masculine sign. So there may be a need to kind of balance something out. And I would say what I love about Pluto transits is it means that, you know, you could go and do a detox. You could go and see an acupuncturist. You could go and work with somebody who is able to kind of work with you in that level psychologically, to help you work through something emotionally that may be blocking you from being able to get pregnant. I think that the King of Swords and the Tower card makes me feel inclined to tell you to be really mindful of not getting stressed out and like letting this impact the way that you communicate with your partner. Because, you know, the Tower card can basically be indicating that there's some stuff coming up where you're like, okay, you know, we're having some issues and we feel like there's like some knockdown, drag out, you know, scenarios in terms of communication. And you're like, I'm stressed out, I need more support. And then you're like, you know, I'm trying to communicate with my partner and I'm like not feeling like I'm getting the necessary support that I need. And the Tower is like the oh shit moment. It's like things that happen where you're like, okay, you know, now what do I do? It can mean that if you feel like you have exhausted all other methods of trying to get pregnant, then you're taking it to the next step and being like, okay, you know, do I go and talk to a specialist and see like what the deal is? Do we both get tested? And it does look like, you know, these conversations or these ideas can definitely bring up some testiness in regards to communication with a partner. It may be about creating a much more calm and mellow, you know, environment, and like managing stress, and also how you're communicating with your partner and not letting it turn into, you know, a situation where it's becoming a little like contentious. The bottom of the deck was the Strength card. So that's a positive indication. That's like, look, you know, you can get through this, but it is important to be more focused on, I think, kind of setting the mood and being in a position of being like, okay, we have to kind of clear out anything that's not working. Literally, the Tower card and the King of Swords does make me feel like if there is a situation going where you're not feeling like you have the necessary emotional security with another person, it needs to be dealt with. And also, like, you know, trying to explain to somebody the vulnerabilities and the sensitivities that you're experiencing throughout this process, and like finding a way to better kind of connect and communicate with your partner. But quite literally, the moon is about, you know, children, okay, or motherhood, I guess I should say. So having you know, Pluto transit your moon, Saturn, it may mean that there is some realizations you're coming to that's like, I'm gonna have to do a little work, or I'm gonna have to stop eating this, or, you know, invest in this in my health in order to kind of make changes with potentially being able to have kids. But you'll see some pretty nice transits over this springtime. So you'll watch, you know, kind of closer to mid-May, when we start to see, you know, Sun, Jupiter, Venus, Uranus, all those planets come into your 5th house, sextile Saturn, and that may result in a pregnancy, okay? Obviously, look at your progress chart too, and go and look at your natal Venus and what's happening with your natal Venus. That'll give you some more clues. That's something I do. I have a lot of people that order reports from me, and they're like, can you look at, you know, this year and tell me, you know, when I'm likely to get pregnant? I can do that. I go and I look at the lunar returns for the month, and then I give you like the time periods and stuff, and I look at like your progress chart. Pretty accurate. We had like 60 something babies we predicted last year doing that. I get emails all the time of people with their kids. It's cute. Anyway, lots of baby dust to you, Kelly. Good luck. All right, I have Angela and then Omar. Angela says, whatever comes out, okay? Sun at 6 degrees of Scorpio in the 8th house, moon at 27 degrees of Cancer in the 5th house, ascendant 21 of Pisces, 1st house, stellium. 0 degrees Libra and Saturn, 4 degrees Libra Venus, 29 degrees Virgo descendant. Okay. Just some food for thought. I mean, you know, sounds like you're, let's see. Did you say you're a Cancer 5th house descendant? There's like so much going on here. I'm visual, so I'm reading everything that you're sending me. But I'm looking at that you're having an eclipse that's going to be right on your Venus. So I'm not sure exactly what ascendant you are, but that eclipse is going to be on your Venus, and it's right behind your sun. But okay, let's see what the cards say. Having an eclipse on a personal planet is definitely pretty significant. As a Scorpio sun, it definitely represents some maybe karmic or collective clearing, you know, in regards to relationships. Oh, your ascendant is 21 degrees of Pisces. Got it. Okay. It's a lot of water, girl. So let's see, what does she need to know? Oh, Pisces, Scorpio rising, Scorpio rising. Got it. Okay, in this order, we have got the 5 of Swords, the Ace of Wands, and the Fool card. This kind of makes me feel like there is a sense of you being like, and I'm letting this go. I'm walking away from this. I'm not bringing this with me. Like, I'm leaving certain things behind. 5 of Swords, conflict, you know, agitation, issues in terms of people getting their feelings hurt, disappointment, disagreements. Like, you know, Five of Swords can be talking about where there's been an exchange or there's been some kind of revealing of information that's difficult to swallow, difficult to deal with, you know, something like that. Okay, I got it. So Pisces rising, Scorpio sun, Cancer moon. Got it. So to me, this makes sense. You know, Five of Swords makes me think about how pretty soon in the next week, you're going to have Mars, Venus, Saturn, and Neptune all in your first house. So there's going to be a sense of being like, I am cutting off and being combative or removing myself from, you know, anything that is confusing, anything that is, you know, disrupting me, anything that's upsetting me, where I'm not feeling like my boundaries are being met. And then you have the Ace of Wands and the Fool. So this is kind of like fresh starts, right? New beginnings. Aces always initiate a new phase for us, so they can represent the season. So this could literally mean talking about going into Aries season. Ace of Wands is like striking a match. You know, it's some new creative opportunity. It's some new spark, some new passion, better energy levels. It does represent feeling more motivated to want to be independent, to be daring, to be creative. And I feel like the Ace of Wands is about channeling your frustration or your energy into something. So it may mean a new project, or you're more physically active, or you have this new goal and you're like super focused on it. And I think about for Aries, you know, the solar eclipse in Aries in your second house, it's going to be about being like, I'm reinvesting in myself. I'm focusing on making money. I'm focusing on becoming more independent and self-sufficient. And I feel like there's a way to kind of look at this and be like, I can leave this behind if I choose to do this and start over and almost use some of the conflict, the drama, the endings, whatever, as almost like fuel to get going in this new direction, right? She says, that's exactly what I'm going through. My whole life is going upside down. Yes and no. Okay. A lot of this is Pisces rising and Pisces placements are very much involved in these eclipses. So even though the eclipses are in Aries and Libra, so it's about your money and breaking off from other people's support or other relationships or whatever, you're learning to put your oxygen mask on first with Saturn and Neptune and Mars in your first house this week. And so what's cool is that not only does the Ace of Wands talk about new beginnings, fresh starts, starting over, you know, taking some kind of initiative action, the Fool card is being like, I'm going to do things for me. I'm going to be more independent. I'm going to be more fearless. I'm going to take risks. I'm going to be willing to go it alone. I'm going to be willing to travel or do something completely different. It's about a leap of faith. So I think that when you start to kind of feel like you're getting anxious or feeling like, oh, is this going to work? Or am I going in the right direction? Or is this going to, you know, is this all going to pan out? I would be like, replace that fear with excitement. Get excited about, I don't know where I'm going, but it's going to be an adventure. And I know that I'm, you know, growing and learning in the entire process. Like you have to kind of be your own hype man right now. And definitely you will feel your energy wax and wane. I talked a lot about that in this week's Astro Weather because Mars going into Pisces is going to represent, okay, I'm motivated, but when Mars hits Saturn, you're super focused, and then we're going to see stuff hit kind of Neptune and it's going to kind of space out. Maintain boundaries is the best thing that I can tell you. And be adventurous, right? Go and do things that you would not usually do, because the Fool card can be quite literally being like, I'm relocating, I'm traveling to a place I've never been, I'm going and, you know, doing things by myself, because you're going to learn a lot about yourself in the process. And it may seem like you're just kind of like piecing out and bailing on other people, when in reality, you're moving away from situations that I feel like you've been staying in, knowing that they're not right for you for some time. And likely, you know, you've been putting yourself on back burner or feeling sad or feeling down or not feeling physically well because you have stayed in that vibration. And now you're realizing, okay, you know what, I don't got to stay there, and I don't owe anybody an explanation either. So no, you're not being selfish, you're not being immature, you're just deciding you're done and you're moving on, right? Anyway, I hope that that's helpful in giving you some insight, and I'm excited for some of the new things that you're going to be doing, because it does seem like it's going to be very good for you. Other people are going to be like, where did this person come from? But, you know, that's what happens when you change the rules. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Michelle. Thanks, maybe. All right, and last but certainly not least, we have Omar. And Omar says, What messages do I need to hear from Spirit right now? Thanks, Candace. All right, well, let's take a look. This is for you, Omar. You're welcome. All right, so this is messages for Omar. Let's see what the cards say. All right, in this order, Libra rising, Sun and Sag, Moon Taurus. All right, all right. Lots of Libra risings in the house. So we've got 7 of Wands, 4 of Cups, and the Emperor. Kind of funny because this does seem to talk about like making moves and like learning how to be, learning how to be more of a leader. You know, I think of like the Emperor as being like the boss. But this can also be talking about father figures. This can also be talking about your own personal goals. This can be about some kind of action that you're taking. 7 of Wands coming up is talking about standing your ground. So it does talk about kind of being in a position where maybe you feel like you have to defend yourself, you have to protect yourself. Maybe it does talk about in a professional sense or in a relationship that there is this situation going on where you're like, I just constantly feel like people are coming at me, you know? And I'm overwhelmed because I feel like somebody wants something from me, or there's always something that they need. And you're either feeling like you're kind of getting nitpicked and attacked in a relationship, or there's this constant never-ending list of things that you're having to be doing at work. Could make sense as Libra rising with Saturn being in your 6th. But the 7 of Wands is still maintaining your balance. So nobody's kind of knocked you off, but you're just kind of feeling like, man, I'm just run down, I'm exhausted. The 4 of Cups in the current position makes me feel like there is a sense of you really looking around and needing to ask yourself, is this bringing me pleasure any longer? You know? Is this bringing me pleasure? And this can mean, where you're working. This can mean a relationship. This can mean, some of your habits. I think for like Libra risings, these eclipses with Saturn and Venus in the 6th house is really looking at the ways that I am, indulging, or some of the habits that I'm having. Is it good for me? Does it really feel good? Like I've talked to so many Libra risings that are like, I smoke, and they're like, I love the act of smoking, but like I want to quit, and like I know I should. So this could be the turning point. Or people who are like, actually, I really want to change something about my schedule. It's not bringing me pleasure where I'm working or how I'm working, right? So something's going on here. And I say this because 4 of Cups does represent not being totally thrilled by something, or like life kind of losing its sense of like zest. We see a guy at a party and everybody's like celebrating and cheersing and having a good time, and he's just kind of like, yeah, whatever, like he's not fazed by the situation. So it can talk about recognizing or realizing where there's a void right now, or something that does not feel fulfilled. And maybe you've been running around doing so much, being so busy that you're helping other people, taking care of other things, worrying about work, taking care of others, that you haven't really gotten the time to really stop and look around and ask yourself, am I happy? Do I feel good? Am I enjoying this? So it looks like this moment of reevaluation is coming for you here over the next 4 weeks or so. And it's an emotional evaluation too, because the 4 of Cups can be about emotions. Then we have the Emperor. And so the Emperor does talk about gaining your power back, which I like for a Libra rising, because there's this whole reevaluating the next 2 or 3 weeks and being like, okay, what's not working, or where am I doing too much? And then we have the solar eclipse in Aries, which is connected to the Emperor. And it's about reassessing who you are in your relationship to self. And in doing so, reasserting yourself to other people, introducing yourself differently, carrying yourself differently, communicating differently. And it can mean, you have a Taurus moon, Jupiter and Uranus are going to meet in Taurus. Significant changes for status and relationships, significant changes for money for you, significant changes for work for you. That can all happen over the next couple of months after that conjunction. So there is this sense of not feeling like you have to be fighting against the current of just doing the same old. And if that means you're doing it because it's convenient, or you're doing it because it's easy, or because it makes other people happy, Now the emperor is like, no, you know, there's a new sheriff in town. These are the things that I want to do. Here's my goal. This is what I'm going after. And he executes. And it's not in a combative way. It's not in a tyrannical way. It's just kind of like really showing up and like owning who you are and being more confident, and also being more courageous when it comes to, you know, making moves. I do think that this is also like working with like fire energy and working with Mars and like masculine energy. So it can be about embracing that. You know, I know that you've got a Taurus, a Taurus moon, but you know, your sun's in Sagittarius, you know, as a Libra rising in the 3rd house, this is about communication and sharing and learning. So possibly what you're going to be realizing is that you need more companionship, or you need more self-fulfilling companionship, or you need a coach, or you need a mentor, somebody who's going to come in, or a partnership that's a little bit more lively that you can kind of connect with, who's willing to kind of support you and encourage some of these changes that you want to make. I think you'll see this around the solar eclipse in Aries. You know, as a Libra rising myself, I was looking at Mars in Pisces in the 6th house conjunct Saturn. And I was like, wow, like some of the most supporting relationships that will come from this solar eclipse in Aries is going to be partners who are supportive of the person I'm becoming, or my habits, or, you know, my goals and what I'm trying to kind of achieve with either health or work or whatever. And seeing that certain relationships or partners will actually kind of rise to the occasion and be like, I've got this, let me help you. Or what can I do to support you? So you want to be looking for that, I think, at the time of that eclipse, and seeing, you know, is it coaches? Is it therapists? Is it an astrologer? These are all 7th house people. But could it also be that there's a romantic partner that's either helping you or hindering you because it's conjunct Chiron? So I think for you, it's more you're healing something about the relationship to yourself, and, you know, taking the necessary actions to feel like there is a much more fulfilling kind of life that's brewing, not just going through the motions and feeling like, you know, you're kind of running through this laundry list of things that other people want from you. Reassessing some of those boundaries and being like, no, it's my time now, you know? Hopefully that's helpful for you, Omar. Some really, really powerful cards in that message, man. So good for you with those transits. I believe that is everyone. So I have to say thank you guys for hanging out with me on a Friday evening. It's always great to see you guys. We'll be back here on Sunday. We're going to talk astro weather. We're going to talk all the transits this next week that are wild leading up to this lunar eclipse in Libra. Make sure you're subscribed. Give me a thumbs up before we head off of the live. You can catch us here every Friday, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Next week, we're going to do astrology for the eclipses. I'll post that early so you guys can sign up if you want to get your lunar eclipse in Libra reading. Make sure you check out my website at beyondtheveiledtarot.com. I teach tarot, I teach astrology, I take clients one-on-one. So if you guys want to get a more personal private reading, I'm happy to work with you. And until next time, I'll see you guys all very soon. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take care.